and learning to fly. This man is a qualified flight instructor. His business is teaching people to fly. He is understanding and courteous. He has a sound knowledge of airplanes and what they can do. It costs less than $100 to learn to fly, less than $500 to become a qualified licensed pilot. There's no age limit on learning to fly. First, the student pilot becomes acquainted with the functional parts of the airplane. He learns to check the airplane and to recognize for himself if it is ready to fly. This simple procedure is line checking. A pilot line checks his aircraft every time he flies. The modern airplane is well designed. Structurally, it is light and flexible and very strong. All aircraft wings are fundamentally the same shape. This shape is the basic airfoil. The tail assembly is checked. Once the student is acquainted with the outside of the airplane, instruction inside begins. He sits in the pilot seat, the instructor on his right. His instructor shows him that the wheel works smoothly and accurately. When he knows how to use the brakes and start the airplane, he is taught to taxi the airplane on the ground. He is taught ground courtesies and how to watch for other aircraft. Taxiing develops control which is later used on takeoff and landing. The same day, they fly. They stop at the end of the runway, brakes are set, gas is checked. It's opened, and the engine power is checked on each ignition system individually. The carburetor heat is checked by turning it on and off. The throttle is closed to the idling position. This is the engine check. Now the student sees if the airplane's controls move freely and easily. First, the aileron action. Then the wheel forward and back for the elevator. Rudder pedals in and out for the rudder fin. Line check, engine check, and control check are performed before every flight. The instructor releases the brakes, opens the throttle, and as the airplane takes off, dual instruction begins. With the rudder, the airplane is kept from turning. After it has gained speed, the elevator is brought up, and the airplane takes off. The airplane is equipped with dual controls, and the student can easily follow the movements of the air. He is shown one simple maneuver at a time, and then is allowed to practice it. By this method, he learns to fly the airplane exactly where he wants it to go. With less than 5 hours of dual instruction, the average person will handle the airplane in a confident manner. Before a student is allowed to solo, he must be proficient at takeoff and landing. He is taught air courtesy and to fly a good pattern around the airport. He practices many spot landings. By the time he has had 10 hours of dual instruction, he can land and take off with confidence, without help or advice from his instructor. Before a student solos, he must know the basic civil air regulations governing air traffic. When the instructor is satisfied that his student knows the simple regulations and that he is capable of flying the airplane alone, he asks him to make 3 takeoffs and 3 landings. On his first solo flight, the student is required to put into use all that he has learned. He has been taught to watch for other aircraft. He has been taught to make a proper final approach. He knows how to keep the proper airspeed, control wheel forward for more airspeed and wheel back for less. As he approaches the runway, he slows down. And as the airplane touches the ground, the control wheel is all the way back. After 40 hours of mixed dual and solo flying, he passes the regulation flight check. he takes a written examination which assures that he understands the basic principles of map reading, weather, and flight. His instructor checks him out in other airplanes. Now, a qualified licensed pilot, the businessman is interested in finding the specific airplane that will meet his needs. His hours in the air while learning to fly and while taking his cross-country flight instruction have been planned to do double duty. Each flight has been a business trip. His travel time has been cut 80%. He knows exactly how airplane ownership will benefit him. American aircraft designers and manufacturers are developing new airplanes. The Aerocar, both ground vehicle and airplane. The Hummingbird Channel Wing. "90% of all airplane owners pilot their own airplanes. They use executive types such as the Aero Commander, the 4 or 5 place 310 Cessna, manufactured in Wichita, Kansas. The 6 place Bonanza, also manufactured in Wichita. They use the popular 4 place Bonanza. The Piper Super Cub, a workhorse of the sky. The Call Air from Afton, Wyoming. Aeroncas. Stinsons. Air Coups. Luscombes. Navions. There are all kinds of airplanes. Their biggest single user is the businessman. The economics of time and travel have made them a vital part of America's life.